I used to despise writing. As far back as first and second grade, the time when you had to write about your weekend and, illustrate a picture and write a little blurb about what you did, I usually just wrote, I had fun and drew a stick figure. But apparently that wasn't good enough because eventually my teacher called my mother and complained. After I got a very stern talking to from my mother, you'd think that would make me change my ways, but no, I don't know if it was juvenile delinquency or just a general need to rebel, but either way, I pretty much continued that way for a very long time. That all changed when I was 10 and I was diagnosed with bipolar 1 disorder. Remember, maybe a couple weeks after that, my math teacher actually, and as an aside, I am horrible at math, so this might actually have been why, told me I was worthless, that I would never amount to anything. I don't know if it started because I was just in a lot of pain, I was struggling, or because of my teacher's words, but either way, that night I went home, I opened up a notebook, got out my pen, and wrote a very long, lengthy, angry letter to my teacher. And strangely enough, that's actually how I started writing. There's a quote by this woman, her name actually escapes me right now, but she once wrote, "The mind of a writer is a beautiful thing, strange sometimes, terrifying others, but always beautiful." I think about that sometimes, and it is a strange quote, but I also think it's very true. As a writer myself, I definitely think it's fair to say that we're strange and sometimes terrifying. I mean, look at any writer's search engine and you'll probably find creepy things like, how do I hide a dead body, or like top 10 ways to kill somebody. And that is definitely more than a little strange. So I can see why someone might say that. But at the end of the day, I do think the mind of a writer is a beautiful thing, because the ability to write, to capture life, to capture human emotions, and to conjure up worlds in your head and jot them down on paper, I think that is an enviable skill. One that took me a very long time to be able to encapsulate. And I might be pretty good right now, but I always believe that you can be better at something. That there is no possible way you could ever be the best at anything. I feel like there's always room for improvement, and that is a philosophy I've carried with me as a writer for, I don't know, ever since I started writing. What I appreciate about writers is that every writer is diverse. Every writer has a different style, and I think that's especially refreshing because I feel like nobody in the world would ever read if everything that they read was written by the same person, or same person who has the same kind of style. I mean, how boring would that be? Along those same lines, as a writer, I read all the time, mainly because I believe that one of the best ways to become a better writer is by reading the words of others. And by the time I'm published, I want my audience to not only appreciate and enjoy my book, but I also want to leave them inspired, emotionally changed. And I know that's a lot to ask for, but I believe that the best writers have that ability. I mean, the hallmark, I think, of a great writer is the ability to not only capture an audience, but to also make them change their way of thinking, even possibly change their actions. I mean, I think that's amazing. And now, looking back on my elementary school exploits, I have to say that even though a lot of it stemmed from my dislike of writing, I think another fair amount kind of stemmed from just basic laziness. And I think, honestly, there's laziness in all of us. I think that's kind of a human trait. So feel free to disagree with me, but that's what I think.